Hello people of YouTube, welcome back to my channel. Alberto Big Boost here. I know it's been quite a while, but today we're gonna be working again on the cars. I am going to be working on the Skyline. I need to remove the front subframe because we're gonna do a few things for this car to make handling a lot better. But first I gotta take off a bunch of tools that I have in the car so I can get this thing done. I also gotta play musical cars because the Skyline is on this side instead of being on the left, so I have to take Nicole's car out of there, put it here, and put this one over there. Like after a little bit of musical cars and getting the car set up on the lift, the Skyline is ready to begin work. I think the first thing I'm gonna have to do is to remove the hood. That way I can install this little piece right here, which is the engine support bar. So this is gonna go in between the two strut towers and hold the engine with two chains. That way I can remove the subframe from underneath and leave the engine just suspended in midair. I'm gonna go ahead and just pop the hood if I can find the latch. There it is. And then this is gonna go somewhere in a thingy. Man, where do I put this so it doesn't scratch anything? Oh, here we go. Oh, wait. There we go. Done. What I basically need to do here is to pretty much put this thingy right here. This will be the engine support bar. It's gonna go right here, not on the fender, like right between the fender and the strut tower. That's a really tough spot. Same thing over there. And then it's gonna have this nice bridge where you can attach two chains from each side of the engine and hold it down. So that way I can remove the subframe and the engine doesn't just plummet down. As an added precaution, I'm gonna go ahead and put some microfiber towels where the legs of this thing are gonna sit on. That way it doesn't scratch the fresh engine paint. We're gonna take this one and put it on the other side like this. All right, we're ready to go. I got the passenger side pretty much figured out. Now I'm going to try to put the exhaust side so I can have the two hooks on the engine so then I can raise the car and start removing the subframe. First, let's take a closer look over here, what I'm gonna be doing with this chain. You can see there's a hole right, not there, somewhere over there. I don't think you can see it on the camera, but I'll show you. Just back it up a little bit. To put the chain on that one hole right by the turbo blanket all the way down here. I probably have my arm in front of the camera so you can't really see what I'm doing, but I don't have nowhere to film it today, so I have to like just do whatever I can with this. All right, here we go. You can probably see that now. Let me see if I can get a closer look at that. Yes, right there. So that's where the head has this little hole there for a bolt, and it has one on the back side of the turbo as well. There we go. I also added another microfiber towel between the chain and the valve cover so that little bit of stress I might be putting on it doesn't scratch it. The engine is now fully supported, so it's ready to go. Now I'm gonna go ahead and start lowering, I'm gonna start undoing the motor mounts. That way I can then further raise the engines a little bit to make sure everything is holding the weight. All right, we got the car suspended in the air. We're looking from underneath the engine. Now I'm looking at the motor mount bolts right here. So I need to undo, right here, this nut. I need to undo these nut and these nut right here. So it's two of the nuts, and then after I do that, I'm gonna raise the engine a little bit more to make sure it separates and it's holding the load. Then I can proceed to removing the subframe, which I'm gonna have to remove this lower control arm. I'm gonna have to remove these two bolts, well, not here, and then I need to remove all the bracketry from the rack, the power steering lines. Same thing on the other side. Then I need to remove the steering rack from the subframe and just leave it hanging there along with the engine. The thing we're down here, you can appreciate some of the work that I did on the car. At least fabrication. What is this plastic thing that was black here? Like, what is that? Huh. But I modified exhaust from here all the way through here. Check out them beautiful welds. Little zoom on there, little rainbow action. I'm surprised the rainbow is still on even after use. It's pretty cool. Then big dump tube in the middle of all these hoses right here. Cool thing, nothing is touching it. It looks very close, but there's just enough room for everything down here. Then the front dump tube goes right between the AC compressor, AC lines, and the subframe as well. Then I'll go ahead and loosen this first nut right here. It's a 14 millimeter. Let's go ahead and take that out pretty much all the way. Then we're doing the exact same thing on the other side. Now we'll need to lower the car. I'll raise this up. Then, remove both blocks and down we go. Now I'm going to start trying to raise the engine with this chain. You can see the engine is now in the air, so I can wiggle it side to side. We're good with that. Seems to be holding just fine, so we're gonna go ahead and raise the car again and start removing the subframe. But again, you guys need to truly appreciate this masterpiece of an RB25 if you haven't seen it already on Adam's video. But I'm gonna take a closer look with you guys because I put a lot of hours building this thing and I did not get to fully explain what's happening here. We're gonna start by knowing that this is not a RB26 like the valve cover says, but it's a RB25, which is a 2.5 liter version of the RB engines. And then we put an RB26 valve cover, not only because it looks really cool, but it has better baffling, and again, it looks really cool. The only downside is we have to cut this hole right here so the variable valve timing pulley could fit, because as you can see, it sticks out of the valve cover. The RB26 does not have variable valve timing, so it doesn't have a little hump over here for the pulley to fit. So we just cut this hole right here, and you can see the cool little spinning thing. We should put like a sticker or something on this. Then on the intake side, we have a Dishworks fuel rail. We have Dishworks 1000cc injectors, or 900cc injector I think it was, or 950s. We ended up having to use this radium injector seats because there was none available from Ditchworks yet. We have Ditchworks fittings and Vibrant hose. We have the Ditchworks R1000 fuel regulator. Then I have electronic fuel pressure gauge along with another analog gauge over there because I had a little problem with the wiring here. It was two things, so it broke, so I'm gonna redo that again. Then we have a 80mm throttle body with the raw brokerage intake manifold, which is pretty much your stock runner mouth, and then it has the aftermarket plenum welded right onto it, so it's a pretty clean install. It's very nice. Then we have our oil filter relocation, which the oil filter is now down here. It may look pretty cramped there, but from the bottom it's totally accessible and a lot easier than removing the oil filter all the way down here where the stock one is, all the way over there where that shiny thing is, which is the oil filter relocator. And then the other shiny thing is the oil pressure gauge, which is electronic as well. You may see that this intercooler piping looks pretty cool right here. So yeah, this is pie cut. It's 3-inch cold side intercooler piping. This was a really tight fit, so I ended up having to do pie cuts to get the correct bend over here, so it looks good and has proper flow. Then we have a 3.5 to 3-inch transition right here, goes underneath here. Then over here you have a oil cooler. It's a Mishimoto, I believe 10 or 15-year-old oil cooler. Intercooler goes over here. We're using an H-gas intercooler. Then moving on to the other side, the pipe shrinks. Yes, the pipe shrinks. We're using 2.5 intercooler piping for this side. That way it has a lot better response. Then turbo-wise, we're using no other than a Turbo by Garrett GTX 3071R Generation 2 turbocharger with a T4 63AR exhaust housing, just like my BMW. And then we have 3-inch exhaust all the way back from the turbo all the way to the exhaust tip. Adam decided it was a pretty cool idea to not run a blow valve and run this 4-inch AM intercooler tube. That way the car makes this giant, super loud turbo surge sound, which actually sounds pretty cool, but I told him it's not very good for the turbo, so we're gonna end up putting a blow valve maybe on this side or probably over here later on. What's happening on the exhaust side? We have a raw brokerage turbo manifold, which is a twin scroll T4 with dual 44mm wastegates. We're using Turbo Smart Hypergate 45mm wastegates. Yeah, the flange is 44, but the valve is 45mm big. And you're never gonna have boost spikes with this setup. And no other, but for boost control, we're running a electronic boost controller from ECU Master, which controls directly from the standalone. I hooked it up over here. Then I have all the lines super shielded like this. So I'm running Vibrant silicone hoses. Then we're running DEI fire sleeve, so it protects all the hoses from melting. I did the same thing on the oil feed line and the water lines and the oil return lines all the way down there. So everything on this engine bay on the exhaust side has been properly protected this time around. Unlike the SR, we had issues and learn again. Everything was taken care of from the get-go over here. The oil catch can is still temporarily mounted. It's not going to be mounted there. I'm probably going to mount it on the intake side somewhere, but we haven't gotten to that yet. Probably I'll do it when I do the blow-off valve. Then moving on to the front of the engine, yes, we're running AC. It has an AC compressor, everything hooked up. We're running, I believe this is a R33 power steering pump, I think it was. So it's the non-Hiccups pump. The Hiccups one is like dual pump, so it's a lot of mess. We don't need that, we're not using that, so discard it, we're using this one. Then we have a harmonic balancer pulley. It's a racing one, I forgot which brand it was, so it's better than the factory one. Then most importantly, and most important of everything, engine internals. We're running forged pistons, we're running CP pistons, I believe they're 901 compression. We're running BC forged H-beam rods with H615 bolts. We're running race bearings, we're running a Nitto oil pump, which is very important. Also the Nitto oil pump collar. We're running a Gates Performance timing belt. It's a Kevlar reinforced belt. We're running ARP head studs. We're running, I believe it was a Tomei head gasket, either Tomei or Apex, I forgot what it was. Then we have valve springs and retainer from Supertech, so it's dual valve springs and retainer with titanium retainers. We're running valves, bronze valve guides, and then we're also running the Tomei pump cams. Very important to keep your engine cool. We're running a Mishimoto radiator with this and Mishimoto oil cooler. But enough of that. Nobody wants to know anything about engine specs. Who does that, right? So let's get back to work. Finally!
What's holding you down? I ain't like others. Don't let them hold your ground. I am in the summer sky. I am hearing all the lies. Don't turn your back on me. I'm here for you. I'll light your fire as the cold comes through. You'll be my passenger and I'll break through. I'll break through.
Now we have all the components removed. The last thing I gotta do is to remove the 4 bolts that, or 4 nuts that are holding the subframe to the cross members. So it's gonna be right here, behind it, then over here and over here. They're all 17mm socket size. Same thing with the suspension components. The subframe is now on the floor and is ready for getting modified. Meantime, check out how cool it looks to have the engine just suspended in midair and have nothing holding it on the bottom. It's kind of scary standing down here, to be honest. Will it crush? Yeah, definitely yes. All right, get out of here. You can now appreciate just how complex the lines for this engine are. Here we have the oil drain. The oil drain is right here. This big -10 line goes with a T from the oil drain on the turbo. Then the back of the head goes all the way back there with that hose on the background. Then this line right here is one of the water lines that connects to the fitting right over there. Then oil feed comes off right here. Also, everything is insulated, so you can appreciate. Then on the other side, we have the oil cooler lines, which pretty much come out of this oil filter relocator right there. Then go to the thermostatic oil filter relocator, which is right here. You can see there's 4 lines coming to it. 2 come from the engine and back to the engine, and then the other 2 go all the way over here through that orifice right there onto the oil cooler all the way over here. Also a good time to check out both dump tubes just sticking out at the bottom. That's the proper race exhaust right there. I got a few more videos that are kind of old from the build process of the Skyline, which I'll be posting after this video. I think I got one more video between those, and then it's like 2 or 3 videos building the car. So stay tuned for those. I'll be posting them daily, so I'll have like probably 4 or 5 videos back to back this week. So stay tuned. Thank you guys for watching. Please smash that like button and subscribe. I'll see you guys tomorrow. It's like the scariest thing, just seeing your engine and it's just floating in thin air.